Welcome into the Davis Football Show, everyone. My name is Nick Davis, and we're here with my brother Rob in the Davis Studios. Thank you so much for listening today. We are going to be covering all things football for you sports fans. This is the DFS. Welcome in, everyone. This is the DFS. We are your hosts, Rob and Nick Davis, and we are here with a ton of content to cover. How are you, Rob?
I'm doing good.
We have camps that are open, finally.
Finally opened. I'm waiting for it.
Yep, we have been waiting all year long for this. Really, ever since we started this podcast, I've been super excited to really have the season kick off, because that just meant, more content for us to cover. And camps are open despite this COVID pandemic, and we are very have a different feel towards the year, don't we?
Oh yeah, very different feel. I mean, we were supposed to have training camp and all that already kicked off and started, but I mean, wouldn't preseason be already starting like this weekend?
Yeah, they were definitely going to start suiting up and playing some games, but as we know, all the preseason games have been canceled, and it's definitely a different feel towards this whole thing.
Oh yeah, it's totally different feel this year.
So what are your some of your biggest concerns going into camp and some of the procedures that have been happening?
My biggest concerns is just keeping all the players healthy, because I mean, there's so many players and staff on the same team. I mean, on each team that, I mean, if a few people get it, it could just spread through the team, and then what do you do? Do you cancel the game? Or do you postpone it? It's just a lot to handle.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Do you power through, or do you push it back and reschedule? A lot how baseball operates? And football's a little different, to where you don't have all these open days to where you can find a way to make it up. It's on a Sunday typically, and I think that I was listening to Chris Sims actually, who made a great point. If your team is too sick or unprepared to play, do you forfeit the game? Is that a L for you and your squad? And will that incentivize the team to really take excessive precautions in making sure they don't contain the virus?
Yeah, because I mean, this ain't baseball. You can't play a doubleheader. You can't make up a lot of games quickly. You need at least a week between games. So, I mean, if you miss one game, I mean, that's a lot to make up. It's not just one day; it's the whole week.
Right, and you see it in the NBA with the bubble. There are certain rules as far as people leaving the bubble, and rules when they come back into the bubble that they need to quarantine for a certain amount of time, and there's precaution in place. But in the NFL, because they're not in a bubble, they're like everybody else. They can go to a restaurant after the game if they want. You know what I mean? And will them forfeiting a game because too many players are sick encourage them not to go out in public the way that normal people may?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people on each team. It's hard to control.
Yeah, and there's so many different unknowns and so many different what ifs, right? And that's why I think a lot of these players are opting out altogether, which is a perfect segue into what I really want to cover and talk about is the opt-outs for this year. Going into the players ultimately have the choice and decision to play this year or not, given the circumstances. And the NFL has came out and NFL players who opt out for the 2020 season also will receive salary advances. Those who opt out for medical reasons because they are high risk regarding COVID will receive $350,000 for the season, and those who opt out voluntarily, meaning they're healthy and able to play, will only receive $150,000 for the season. And undrafted rookies who opt out voluntarily are not eligible to earn that money because they're, the odds of making a team are very low anyway. So someone on the bubble per se, that may not make the team won't be given that extra money or salary advance is what they're calling it. And basically what that means is that money isn't just being donated, it's coming out of their salaries of next year, correct?
Yeah, so when they opt out, their current contract that was for 2020 moves to 2021.
Right, so everyone just kind of gets pushed, or they get pushed back a year. They kind of get extended for another year, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And as an older player, or as a young player, like, what are some of the pros and cons with that?
I mean, as an older player, I mean, if you opt out, you lose another year that you play in the NFL, because, I mean, you can't play in the NFL forever. So, as an older player, you're losing one of your last years in the league. But as a younger player, I mean, there could be pros and cons, because the pros could be, I mean, like, if a lot of people opt out, you get more chances. But also the cons could be, I mean, you could, like, get sick, you get, family members sick, it's a risk playing this year.
Yeah, and like me, like I have a 9-month-old little girl. Like I understand the decision. Especially with some of these NFL players have newborns. I think is it Hightower that has a 2-week-old baby?
Man, I heard a lot of these players with these young babies. I'm not sure about Hightower, but I know Marquise Goodwin. He has a
Goodwin.
A 3-month-old, and his wife had 2 miscarriages in the past, so that's his reason for opting out.
Yeah, so I mean, I understand completely in that sense. I think that when kids are so well, and granted they're very they're not a risk with this virus, according to the doctors and experts. I'm not a doctor. Don't ask me. But they're just so fragile, and you when you want to do everything you could to protect them, and if that means not playing, I understand that decision entirely.
Oh yeah, me too. When you got young kids around, I mean, family first over football. Football is just a game, so you got to protect your family.
Unless you live in the SEC country, then it's a little more serious, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So when it comes to the opt-outs, Rob, is there any? I mean, there's some big names on this list. I mean, do you want to run through a couple?
I mean, to me, the biggest ones are with the Patriots, because the Patriots are a real contender. So, I mean, losing that many players, there's no way they could contend losing that many players, I don't think.
Yeah, so like every team for the most part has a guy or two. The Bears, my favorite team, definitely has a big name, and Eddie Goldman, their nose tackle, who's one of the best in the game, he's opting out. And I do believe he actually has like a medical reason. The Packers, who are in the Bears division, they have the newly signed wide receiver Devin Funchess, who's opting out. The Lions have Geronimo Allison. I mean, there are some big names on here. Marquise Goodwin, who was formerly with the 49ers, now they're with the Eagles. Nate Solder, the offensive tackle for the Giants, he's an older player who we're maybe not even thinking about, who knows if he'll even be able to play or can continue to be there with New York. I'm sorry, Rob. They're missing who?
They're missing that the lineman on the Saints. What's his name?
Okay.
Wolford.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of the big. He's a off-road player.
Yep. Alan Hearns just announced that at the Dolphins that he won't be playing, which is going to be a big hit if Tua does end up going. C.J. Mosley for the Jets after they just traded Jamal Adams. I mean, yeah, I can see Mosley. I'm out too. I mean, there are some big names, but nobody has as many players as the Patriots. And the rumor is that this is all being facilitated somehow by Bill Belichick. Rob, what do you think about that?
I mean, I don't think it's all. I mean, he's not telling his players to sit out. I don't think that. But I mean, he's okay with it, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to come out and say they're unhappy or not okay with these guys making that decision. But it just seems so odd that the Patriots have essentially 8 times the amount as every other team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact reason why they have so many. Unless, I mean, how many coaches publicly, to their team said, it was okay to sit out. But, I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be. So, yeah, I don't know why the Patriots got so many.
Yeah, it's definitely, a question, I guess. It just looks a little alarming. And look, with the Patriots cheating ass scandals over the years, we all know anything they do is alarming these days. They could pass gas and we're going to think something's up.
Yeah, I just don't see why they would sign Cam Newton if they were trying to tank. If they didn't sign Cam Newton and then all these people start sitting out, then it's okay, they're really trying to tank. But I mean, with Cam Newton, they're the 3rd best team in the AFC.
And I don't even know if the plan is them they're trying to tank. What if, think about it, you get Hightower for another year, you get Chung for another year, you get all these guys for another year on their current deals. Maybe that's the ploy.
Oh, you're right, maybe.
Because, the Patriots might take a year or two to be good again, and if they can, cap's an issue. If they can keep all their guys at their current under their current contracts, I bet you Hightower's next deal is going to be pretty damn big.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're another year older, so they're losing money,
Yeah. I really don't think these guys are doing this because someone instructed them to. I do think there's real reasons why they're making these decisions.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
It just is it's concerning that so many are coming from New England. And look, when you win as much as they do, everyone's either a lover or a hater, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, getting back to the COVID procedures and how they're handling camps, I know, it's one thing for the players, right? But it's the entire organization. So they basically split up the organization into tiers. There's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3s, and tier 4s, I believe. And I think tier 1 and 2s are the players and the personnel that is directly in contact with the players. 3 and 4 is more so the outlining organization that do not come in direct contact with the players. And the NFL is really smart in the form of wearing these trackers. So if someone do test positive, they can go back to the tracker history through GPS, I assume, to see who all they've been in contact with recently, which is genius. I mean, that would be awesome in society to try to contain this thing a little bit. But I think that with what the precautions that they're doing, especially on tier 1 and tier 2, is it going to be enough? I guess is my question.
It might. I mean, it helps, but I mean, I don't know. Right? Honestly, right now I'm 50-50 about the NFL. I don't know if they're gonna make it through the season because the MLB. What are they on? They just started and they almost had a shutdown because the team had over 10 players, 10 staff.
Yeah, it's a couple teams that aren't playing anymore because they're too contagious.
Yeah, so in the NFL, there's so many more people. So I mean, I don't know if they're gonna make it through.
Yeah, and I did hear something pretty funny. It's that starting isn't the hard part because everyone was wondering. This was more so regarding to baseball and basketball. There, when they were talking about starting up here this month, they were or in July, they were saying how starting isn't the hard part. is staying open is the hard part. They can start tomorrow, but being able to continue to play and keep everybody healthy is the difficult part. So I think football's a lot of the same. Like starting minicamp and opening the season it's not the hard part. It's being able to withstand the entire length of the season with everyone making it through. It's going to be difficult.
Right, exactly. Honestly, I think they should try to figure out some type of bubble form like the NBA, because I mean, in the MLB, like if players on one team catches it, I mean, that's like 2 weeks you're missing players, so like you can't even, your whole season pretty much gone unless you already won a bunch of games. But I mean, that's not the fact with a lot of teams. So I don't know. I mean, hopefully they can figure something out, but I don't know if they just open regular how that MLB does. I don't think they're gonna make it through.
Right. Yeah. And I read something on IG from John Middlecoff, who is a podcaster like us. He's definitely more big time and is someone who kind of inspired what we're doing now. He asked the question of if a coach like Doug Peterson, who just tested positive, who is a play caller on game day, will he be able to call the plays mid-season remotely if he's under quarantine?
That's a good question.
So think about
like
Matt Nagy for the Bears. He's positive the night before game day. Is he then immediately removed from the whole game plan, or will he be allowed to call plays remotely somewhere?
Is that even allowed?
I have no idea, right? That's a great question, though, because that can be the difference in a win or a loss.
Yeah, could you be quarantined in a press box at the game?
I don't think so, no. I don't think that's allowed. I think you need to be quarantined. Well, shit, if no one else is there, maybe. Right.
You can't be quarantined in a suite, because they got suites up there in the stadiums.
You could be quarantined in row G, seat 12, with no one else out there. I mean, I don't know. And that is a phenomenal question.
Yeah,
we will find out, I guess.
Yeah, we'll definitely find out.
It's definitely going to be different. It's going to be weird. But let's move on off of the opt-outs and off of COVID, and let's segue into a couple hot topics. I mean, let's jump into Jamal Adams. Recently traded to Seattle, who is my wife's favorite team, for 2 1s, a 3, and a player. I mean, was that excessive? Was that too much? Who won the trade?
Who won the trade? I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard to say now, but to me, I think the Jets won the trade because, I mean, they still got a starter, and then they got 2 first-round picks and a 3rd, right?
Yep.
I mean, to me, loving a team that does good in the draft and builds through the draft, I'd rather have the starter in the 3 picks, because you could get 4 starters. You could get a player just as good as Jamal Adams in the draft if you draft good. So
yeah, and I do hear you there. Like, if it wasn't for the replacement, then I think the trade is fairly even. But they got a starter back. Like, he's not Jamal Adams, but he ain't bad. I mean, he's a starter in the NFL. He can get the job done. And then you couple that with the talent that could possibly come out of these other picks. I mean, anybody in the 3rd round has starter capabilities day one. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see. The just problem is they haven't been able to hit water throwing into a pool. Like they haven't been able to hit anything.
Honestly, same thing with the Seahawks. Seahawks can't hit much either, so I don't think they mind giving up those picks.
Yeah, that's a good argument there too. If the Seahawks can't land either, it's better to, get rid of the rocks when you can't throw. You know what I mean?
Right, get a star player instead of trying to find one.
Yeah. So, I think this year, Seattle's definitely better right now. And I think Seattle is kind of trying to live in the past a little bit, back to their Super Bowl days with Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor. I think that type of player brings that swagger that they once had. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I think that the Jets are definitely building for the future. But where do you think Sam Darnold's future lies in all that?
Honestly, it all depends on this year, because the GM that's currently on the Jets didn't draft Sam Darnold, so
yeah, so he's not his guy. So let's say the Jets, I just think, are one of the worst teams in the league. Quite frankly, what if they have another terrible year? They go 4-12, and Sam Darnold has COVID and misses 4 games. Do they think he's done? Do they move him, or do they? What do they do with Sam Darnold?
If they can get Landry Fields or Trevor Lawrence, that's what they're gonna do. If they can't get them two, they'll keep him for another year.
But we both know with 2-1s and having that shitty of a record, they will land one of them two. So what you're saying is they will move off of Sam Darnold after this year.
If they could get Trevor Lawrence or Landry Fields.
They will with how bad they're going to play. The only other team that I see being as bad is the Redskins. Am I able to say Redskin?
No. Washington football team.
So let's jump into that real quick. Washington had a lot of noise the past couple months. They had they were being pressed for the name change. They announced that they're going to no longer call the team the Redskins, and a new name was going to be coming. And then afterwards, it was a lot of ownership dropping out, and we all thought originally it was because of all of this, but turns out there was some real unethical stuff going on behind the scenes in the ownership circle, and or the management circle, I should say, and then now they come out and say that they're not going to have a name, or they're not going to display one as of right now. They're going to hire a firm and do this thing right to last the test of time, which is smart, I think. And I also think it's smart to remove the current name immediately, and to operate under no name, essentially.
You call it no name, and I think that's the name.
What name?
Washington football team.
That's not a name.
It is a name, just like every overseas soccer team. Overseas soccer team don't got a name. It's just the name of the town. Real Madrid, Barcelona. It's just the name.
What name?
Listen, I think that's one of the best team names in the league to me now.
Washington. I can get with it. Look, I'm a Ron Rivera fan, and I have been high on this team since the draft. Going after Chase Young, I think they're going to be top 30 defense in the league, like I've been saying all year. So,
but if they're gonna do it how the soccer league does it, you gotta change the club, the Washington Football Club, the DCFC.
That's something I could get on board with.
Yeah, I like that name.
What name?
Shut the.
All right, so if you were to pick a name out of a hat, Rob, what would you call the Washington football team? I know you just brought up this pretty clever DCFC thing, which I'm on board with. Would you roll with that, like,
Yes,
from now on?
the DCFC.
Like, forever. Like, that's the name.
That's going to be the name. I 100% promise you that's going to be the name.
DCFC, okay.
No, not DCFC. It's going to be called the Washington Football Club, their team. That's going to be the name Dan Stein will stick with.
Okay.
That's what I think.
All right. So no mascot, no symbol. The logo is a W.
I mean, it could, yeah. I mean, isn't the Bears logo just a C?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's different than what they're used to.
Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna be different. But I mean, I think it's for the better.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely with you there. That name should have been changed a long time ago. So, moving off of, well, not quite. Let's stick on the Redskins for a second, or the Washington Football Club for a second, because I want to talk about Dwayne Haskins. Is he the guy there in Washington?
He's the guy for at least this year. I mean, we'll see how they play. If they do bad, I mean, they're just going to be in a good spot to draft a different QB like Lawrence or Fields.
And, well, I asked that because, Alex Smith got cleared here. Is he going to make a return? Unbelievable. If anybody watched that documentary on his injury, his surgeries, how he was really in critical condition. Could he come back and start for this team?
I mean, well, he's gonna make. I mean, if you've seen the documentary, his comeback's crazy. Alex Smith almost lost his leg. I mean, it was a good comeback.
He almost lost his life.
Yeah, he almost lost his life, but he's 36.
Yeah, and look, I'm not saying he's the answer long term, but can he start this year over Haskins?
What's the point? You still got to find another quarterback.
Yeah, true.
So you just start Haskins and see what you got. Because if Alex Smith starts, he'll be better than Haskins, I assume. I don't know. Maybe I don't know with his injury, but I don't see the benefit of starting Alex Smith. What's the benefit?
Yeah. Sure. All right. I hear that point. Let's talk about some contracts real quick. We got Bosa signing a massive deal.
Yeah, the richest contract.
Richard's contract for a defensive player, right?
Yeah, highest guaranteed and total salary.
5-year, $135 million, which is $78 million fully guaranteed. And this deal was just going to get done. It was just a matter of time, right?
Oh yeah, I mean when you're balling that young, you're definitely going to get a big contract.
And I think his little brother at the 49ers is going to be even bigger with the way his rookie year went.
Oh yeah, definitely. The salary cap keep going up. All these contracts are going to get broken. Once Patrick Mahomes, everyone's making a big deal about his contract. I guarantee you, he's not top 3 highest paid in the next 5 years.
Yeah, true. I mean, there are some really talented young stars coming out here. I mean, Lamar is, who I would think is next up. I know Watson needs to sign his deal, but I think his is going to be under Mahomes. Lamar's the next big one. Yeah, I think Watson's is going to be under Mahomes. You don't think so?
Well, you know who's going to be doing his contract, right?
Yeah, you're right. The clown that doesn't know what he's doing. You're absolutely right.
He made Tunsil the highest paid left tackle.
Yeah, Watson may be the next highest paid. That's crazy. Yep, you're absolutely right. If Watson was smart, he wouldn't sign it and get the fuck out. But that's a whole nother conversation.
No, I think it's not going to be bigger in total, but Watson, he's going to only sign like a 3 year, but the per year is going to be higher, definitely.
Oh, yep. I can see that. I can definitely see that. We got Lamar, like I mentioned. I think he's going to be Because I think by the time his contract comes up, he's going to have. I'm not going to say a Super Bowl win, but I think they're going to go deep in the playoffs next year to either reach the Super Bowl if they don't win it. I think he can, and already an MVP in his belt. I mean, he can definitely break it. And then who knows how some of these other, Kyler played outstanding. And then of course everyone's talking about Trevor Lawrence coming out and Justin Fields.
And about Tua.
End up, Tua too. Yeah, I mean, I think that Miami team is really built for success. He can really have a really strong start to his career as well. I don't think Joe Burrow's going to get there. I just don't believe in Cincinnati, But hey, that's just me. I'm sure everybody over there in Ohio feels differently.
I mean, they got no choice pretty much. They got to believe in him.
they got to believe in
They
something.
took him over Tua, man. I'm telling you, Tua's way better than Joe Burrow. It is not close.
Yeah, we will see. We will only see. Real quick, I want to talk about the Raiders real quick. Is Antonio Brown going to go back there?
The hell no, he's not going. Why? How would he go back to the Raiders?
No, I know the answer there would be no, but I just where do you see him winding up?
I could see him he's either going to go to the Seahawks or the Ravens. I mean, those are the only two teams that are working out with him and working out with their players. So, I mean, it's either of the two, honestly. I feel like he got a better chance going to the Seahawks because Seahawks need him more than the Ravens because the Ravens got his cousin, which is pretty much like a clone of him.
Yeah.
And, and what?
Do you think the Seahawks would pull the trigger on that, though?
I think so. Because, I mean, the Seahawks only got a lot of weapons. So, I mean, they need all the weapons they could get. The 49ers, they just signed Jordan Reed from the Redskins, and if he stays healthy, he's a top tight end. So they have him and Kittle.
Yeah, true.
So,
I got the Raiders actually. I'm pretty excited to see how they end up going about with their offense. They have three very high drafted weapons. We all know Henry Ruggs, who went in the first round, but then they got 2 third rounders in Lynn Bowden, the running back, and then Brian Edwards, who is a real big physical Deebo Samuel type wide receiver. Couple him with Zay Jones, Terrell Williams, Hunter Renfrow. I mean,
Darren Waller, the tight end.
Darren Waller, yeah, and then Josh Jacobs at the other running back. I mean, Derek Carr got no excuse. I mean, he was saying he's been disrespected. I mean, I think he's just been underperforming, and he's upset with people calling him out on underperforming. What do you think?
Yeah, well, yeah, compared to a few years ago, he was going to win the MVP a couple years ago before he got hurt. So, I mean, he kind of fell off after that. So, I mean, it's up to him. He gotta prove it.
Yeah, for sure. We got Patrick Mahomes signing, on top of his contract, signing a deal to make him part owner in the Kansas City Royals, the baseball team, becoming the youngest owner in sports history. What do you think about that?
I mean, if you make that much money, you could participate in millionaire stuff like that.
Right? Yep. And look, I support it 100%. Like the getting into ownership, and that's something that definitely is going to, it's beyond football. He's thinking beyond football already when he just started off such a promising football career. That's something that, that's Peyton Manning, that's Tom Brady, that's the elites do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the only problem I got with it is I think baseball's falling off as a sport, honestly, after all this Astro stuff. But I mean,
yeah. Maybe that's the wrong league to get into. I mean, but maybe him being part owner in that is going to help him bring a basketball team to Kansas City. How about that?
oh yeah, that's the idea too.
I mean, think about that. He's part owner. Think of Reinsdorf for the Bulls. You watched Michael Jordan's documentary. He was a baseball team owner that bought the basketball team.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, you could bring a basketball team to Kansas City.
Patrick Mahomes can be that guy. Start in baseball and then jump into basketball and bring someone into Kansas City. And think about how that would blow up. Man.
Oh,
I'm excited for him.
That'd be huge if they could bring a basketball team.
And I think Mahomes will be all over that. He would be on board with all of that.
Yeah.
So I bring up Mahomes for one reason.
What's the reason?
Do they have the best offense in the NFL in 2020?
They do not.
Who does?
The Ravens, of course.
No way.
How?
What?
What players did the Chiefs add?
I'm not saying the Chiefs do.
Who? Then who?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Why do you... Okay.
They're going to put up 40 points a game.
Why do you think that? Why?
They have all the weapons. They have better weapons than Kansas City. They have better weapons than Baltimore. And they have Tom Brady pulling the trigger. I'm not even a Brady fan like that. You just got to respect the weapons he's throwing to.
Did he put up 40 a game in his prime when he had Randy Moss? When they went 18-0 until they lost the Super Bowl?
No. But he doesn't just have Mike Evans.
So they're going to be better than that team.
Think of, yes, they're going to be better than the 07 Patriots.
I can't wait till the season starts and you see how you can't be 43 in the NFL and be the best player out there.
I'm not saying Tom's going to be the best player, but he has a lot of great players around him. Like, all he got to do is find the open guy, which is what he's great at. The same way Peyton Manning.
Just find the open guy, and you're going to put up 40?
Just find the open guy and put up 40.
All right. I mean, they're going to find out the hard way.
Those Tampa Bay Bucks just signed LaShawn McCoy.
To be the third string?
He's a proven vet that is great out of the backfield.
Okay, all right. We will see. I mean, LaShawn McCoy was on the Chiefs last year, barely played. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, but it barely played. But look, I mean, you're saying he didn't contribute?
Not much. McCoy ain't going to be the starter.
I am excited for this Ravens offense, though. Like, with their running game last year and then adding J.K. Dobbins, I mean, being an Ohio State fan, I'm excited to see how that thing works.
Yeah, it's going to work a lot better than what's going on in Tampa Bay.
Yeah. We will
So you're telling me you think Tom Brady's going to be throwing 50-yard bombs to Mike Evans?
I wouldn't say 50-yard bombs every other play, but I mean, it's going to be a few of those in there. But we do need to understand he's simply going to find the open guy, and it is going to be look. Gronk's the third tight end on the team. I
don't know where he's going to be. I haven't seen him play good in 3 years, so I don't know why people think he's going to come back and be all-pro player.
I'm a little shocked that Gronk is not opting out of this year.
Why?
I don't know. I just feel like if he was in New England, he would be. Right?
Maybe you're right, but this ain't New England. This is Tampa Bay.
Yeah, true. It's a different environment. I mean, he wouldn't come out of retirement to opt out. I think that's a big reason too. But if he was in the league this whole time, just you know how beat up he was. Like if this happened 3 years ago, he would totally opt out.
Yeah, maybe. Last year, probably. I mean, the last year that he played 2 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe if Tom Brady didn't opt out, I don't think Gronk would. Tom Brady won't let him.
So real quick, jumping back to the opt-outs, Devin McCourty actually came out and was kind of upset. He came out verbally, and he's like super high character, highly respected around the league, and he came out and was upset about the NFL pushing the date up to allow players the decision to opt out, simply because he was saying the NFL didn't like the number of players who were opting out. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are opting out because they don't know if they're going to get cut or not. So, I mean, if you opt out, you're just still on the team for the whole next year, and you could use like the facility and stuff. I think it's still use facility, but I mean, yeah, that's why a lot of the borderline players are opting out.
Yeah. Well, only time will tell, right?
Yeah, you're right.
We will see. We will only see. So we have no preseason games, but we have a lot of camps. I'm sure there's going to be some scrimmages involved. I don't know all the exact details on all of that.
Scrimmages between teams?
Well, no. I mean, maybe. I know last year they did a few, but I think that none of those will actually happen.
I was going to say 0% chance. No way.
Yeah. Because of if they eliminated games, they're not going to do those either. But I was more so talking about like in-house like game like setting.
Oh yeah, definitely
within the team. Like that's when because the coaches got to know and see who's game ready and who's going to be able to contribute to the team. Now, within all these camps, though, especially with all this, decision making and uncertainty, it's a lot of chatter, right? And a lot of points of views, I guess, being whirled around. And I want to circle the state I'm in, Wisconsin, and talk about Green Bay. Rodgers came out and was like, look, I don't know if I got a future here in Green Bay. I don't know what, the plan was, but I know that a quarterback was chosen and he's my replacement. It is what it is, and he's the future here for the Pack. And, should he have came out and said all that? I mean,
why not? I think it's a smart move.
It's facts. We just haven't heard that, right? Like you listen to everybody else who was in that position, and Peyton Manning. I want to be a Colt all my life. Tom Brady. I want to be a Patriot all my life. Like, and Rodgers said that too. He did say he would love to be a Packer throughout his whole career, but they haven't came out and talked about leaving before actually leaving. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, like that's what it is. I mean, you see it 100 times. So I mean,
oh yeah, we've seen it over and over again. I just don't know how this dynamic is going to work in Green Bay. And Devontae Adams even came out and said, "Man, we thought the draft was going to go differently. We thought we were going to go wide receiver here, and we didn't get that." So it seemed to be a lot of disagreement. When the players don't trust the coach, or they know the coach is pulling the calls. Matt LaFleur is definitely made those decisions on draft day. Do you think there's any resentment there between the vets who were looking for someone to help them win now and the decisions that were made long term? Because Matt LaFleur knows he's in it for the long haul now, especially after that great first year. He got some years in the bank. He's trying to build for the future.
LaFleur got some years in it. I don't think that had anything to do with LaFleur, honestly.
You think that had more to do with the organization?
If they kept McCarthy, I feel like they would have done just as good. So I don't think it's Matt LaFleur doing anything special.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. I think the record had no impact on LaFleur, but the impact on having a good rookie year though as a head coach allows you some time to, you're not on the hot seat year 2,
Not yet, but we'll see. We'll see if the second Aaron leaves, that's a lot of pressure on you because you just push out Aaron Rodgers. So I mean, you have to do good.
True, you're absolutely right. Which is why I think he's trying to replace the guys now, so they're not, brand new rookies that first year that Rodgers is gone. He's trying to develop some guys this year, next year, into the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, to me, that don't make sense because I feel like they're trying to play both sides. They're trying to say like, oh yeah, we want Rodgers here, but they're building a team without him. Because didn't LaFleur just came out?
Exactly.
He just came out and said that he hoped Rodgers stays here for a long time. He said something like that. But I mean, why would you not draft anyone to help that offense, and why would you draft a quarterback in the first round? So
now, exactly, they have the quarterback to win them the Super Bowl. Now let's add the pieces to help get there. You guys just got rolled against San Francisco twice. Like, that's not going to look any different this year.
To me, it's looking bad on LaFleur because I mean he's making a lot of enemies on the team. I mean, so.
That's what I'm saying. The dynamic in that locker room has to be something solid. The veteran players cannot be happy. They're not happy. They're already going to the media expressing that.
If I was
we thought draft day was going to go different. Is what the end.
If I was LaFleur, I would just trade. I'll just trade Rodgers right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. It's different here versus what we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to play both sides, and I mean that's never going to work out well. Just like the Bears. The Bears doing the same thing.
All right, fall back, Playboy.
Are they not?
Fall back.
I mean, they said, "Oh, Mitch is our guy," but you're going to decline his 5th year and trade for a QB. How does that make sense?
Yeah. You're right.
I'm right a lot.
All right. Well, with that statement, that inaccurate, false statement, we are going to conclude this show. Thank you, everyone, so much, as always, for listening. We are on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, you name it. Everywhere you get your podcasts, iHeartRadio. Please go in, subscribe, scroll up. There is a rate box. 5 stars is awesome as always. Thank you all for who have already done that. We have a ton of reviews. And feel free to write whatever you like as well if you have the time. It really helps us out. And we will be back next week. We're going to get back to a frequent show due to the content that's going to be launching here with camps being open, keeping you up to date on everything that's going on. And I can't wait for the season to kick off, Rob, because every week we're going to recap games and give everyone the conversations that we have on a weekly basis during the season, just shared with everybody else.
Yeah, I can't wait.
All right, well, as always, guys, this is the TFL.